we are reading The Girl Who Buried Her Dreams in a Can. And this is a true story. This is a story of non-fiction. Okay, that means it happened in real life. Okay, and the author is Dr. Terari Trent, illustrated by Jan Spivey Gilchrist. Okay, it's very important that we pay attention and we just open our minds. The girl who buried her dreams in a can. She was supposed to be a boy. Her parents even chose a respectful Shona name fitting a boy, Tereri Shori Kari Ramawari, meaning listen to the word of the Spirit. But on this cold winter morning, in a small village in what is now Zimbabwe, she emerged, a ball of fire as brilliant as the sunrise. The baby's grandmother quickly snipped the birth cord and wrapped it tightly inside a piece of cloth torn from the mother's dress. Then she buried the cord deep beneath the red earth. This is our ancient way, the grandmother said. The child whose birth cord is buried in the ground will always remember her home. Ooh. Wowzers. The little girl grew up in a hut, its roof thatched with grass, and its walls made of mud. Each day, she tended to the family's cattle and fetched water and firewood from many miles away. Sometimes she ran into older boys carrying books on their way to school. Oh, how she longed to trade her firewood for books. But for most little girls in her village, learning and school were batigo, impossible. If families had any money for school, they sent boys. Girls were needed at home to cook, clean, and bring supplies. What do you guys think? You think that's fair?
No, not at all.
Does she look happy?
No, she looks very sad to do.
Every woman in the little girl's family had heard the word Hatigon. It was never more painful than when the little girl watched her aunt's dark eyes fill with tears because she couldn't read a letter from her husband. She had no choice but to ask a stranger to read it aloud. "This shouldn't be," the little girl shouted to her mother and grandmother. The women agreed. "We need a young woman to be our eyes, to read and write for us," her grandmother said. "Maybe it will be you, my dear child." The little girl decided she would be their eyes. She would learn to read and write. She borrowed her brother's school book and flipped through the crisp pages. It was filled with pictures of smiling people, big cities, and tall buildings. Her brother, Tanash, called the book by a funny name, Geography. My, how the word tickled her tongue. "I will teach you how to read and write," he said. "But you must keep it a secret. And you must do something for me in return. The little girl grinned and made a promise. Tinashe taught the little girl how to read the Shona way through song. She learned the vowels and consonants, tracing each letter in her brother's workbook as she sang their sounds. Just as she'd learned how to sew cloth to make a quilt, the little girl learned to sew vowels and consonants together to make words. Oh, how the letters held secrets in the way they formed words, and the words held secrets in the way they told stories. Sometimes she focused so intently on her lessons, she'd forget to watch the cattle, leaving them to stray and graze in neighboring maize fields. Uh-oh. The little girl learned quickly. Soon, she could read Baba and Amai, the Shona words for mother and father. And she learned to complete Tinashe's homework, her payment for the reading lessons. When Tinashe's teacher discovered the sibling's secret, he begged the little girl's father to let her attend school. But before the little girl could enroll, she was asked to perform a test, as every child must. She stretched each arm around her head one at a time to touch the end of her elbows like this. Can you touch the end of your elbows? Okay. If she could reach, she was ready. Oh, how happy she was when she felt the tips of her elbows with her fingers. Okay, if you touched one, touch the other now. Oh, yeah, that's easy.
Too easy, Mr. Dawson. I could do that all day.
Thank you. All right, let's pay attention to the book. The little girl loved learning so much that she couldn't bear to stop when the school day was over. The maize fields became her classroom, and the cattle became her students. She gave her students names and taught them science and math, her favorite subjects. As she solved math problems with her grazing cattle, the other village children pointed and stared. Why does she bother to talk to animals, they'd say. They can't learn. Soon after the little girl started school, her village began to change. War and drought pushed the men of the village into the factories of the city and the gold mines near the mountains. When they returned, they rested under the broad leaves of the muchacacha trees. They hung battery-operated radios from the branches, just like this. See the radio right there? When they returned, they rested under the broad leaves of the muchacacha trees. Oh, I already said that, right?
Yeah.
They hung the battery-operated radios and they enjoyed the news of the world. As the little girl did her homework, she'd listen too. The radio programs took her to faraway places. Australia, Europe, America. She wondered if she'd ever see these places. If she'd ever see them. That's right. You guys read that right. I added a little bit. Sometimes you can do that when you're reading. Moons rose and set, and the little girl became a young woman, a wife, and a mother. Her village became something new as well. The end of war brought hope and change for the next generation of boys and girls. The young mother's heart grew each time she sent her children to school. She fed and loved them as she fed and loved her dream of learning. However much you like learning, you pass that on. Remember that. Others fed her dream too. Zimbabwe welcomed strangers from faraway lands, educated men and women who had come to learn more about the young mother's village and share stories of other countries. One story stole the young woman's heart. In America, both men and women could study their favorite subjects for as long as they
Wanted.
very good wanted. Before she knew it, her dream had grown, an education, but in America. A kind visitor named Joe Luck took the woman's hand. "If you truly desire this dream," she said, "then it is achievable." "Achievable," the young woman repeated. "Tino gona? Tino gona," she whispered. "Tino gona," she whispered in Shona. What a wonderful word for dreamer. Everybody, Tino gona. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right, but the young woman ran to tell her mother, "You must write down your dreams and bury them beneath the ground." Her mother said, "Mother Earth will feed them and help them grow." It was an ancient ritual like the burying of the birth cord. Trust the universe, daughter, to honor your dreams. The young women quickly scribbled 4 dreams on a scrap of paper: to travel to America, to earn 1 degree, then a second, even higher, then a third, the highest. She placed the paper in a worn tin can. "Wait!" her mother called. "Your dreams will have little meaning, daughter, unless they bring gifts you can return to your people. Always remember your home." So she added a 5th dream: to give education back to her village. Then she buried her can in the field where she had once watched the cattle graze. "Tino gona," she sang. Because she is a what? What's Tino gona? Anybody remember? Dreamer. Dreamer. She's a dreamer. It was a special day when the young woman received a letter with a strange stamp and a university seal at the top. After years of studying and hard work, she was finally going to America. But before she could pack her bags, the young woman needed more money to travel. How would she get it? The young woman's mother visited the head man of the village. He had great respect for the young woman and her buried dreams. Without her knowledge, the headman asked each villager to give whatever they could to make the young woman's journey possible. Some sold their chickens, mangoes, and groundnuts to help her. Others gave pennies as a symbol of their love and support. Her dreams were coming true. When the young woman boarded a plane to America, she thought of her mother. When she started her first day of school, she imagined her brother's face. When she found herself at the university library late at night, she remembered her village. When she struggled to put food on the table for her children, she recalled Joe Luck's words. And whenever she felt her dream slipping away, she whispered. Everybody. Never stop to dream. It was achievable. The young woman earned 1 degree, then a second, even higher, then a third, the highest. And finally, her dream was fulfilled. She brought education to little girls and boys of Zimbabwe, as she had promised many moons ago. Y colorín colorado, este cuento se ha acabado. So this was an actual true story of a young girl growing up in poverty and coming back and bringing education to her village. Okay? All right. It is most definitely a Friday. Thank you for watching.